Welcome back. I will be reading a story from my journal, my first journal. I will be reading the second chapter to this series. As you can see, there is an 8-pointed star. I'm very proud of the way it looks. This line has no ledger lines in it. I'm not sure if that's what they're called, but there are no lines, and it's so dry that the pages fell out. But they're in order, I promise. So to begin, I will read a poem, an ode to dreaming that I wrote. My dreams are a reality, the images I keep. No sense to you, but sense to me, and into what's real they seep. Endless work and strain, and toil when I'm awake. And yet to ease the pain, my mind its stories makes. Dreams to ease the blow of work, and sleep to make it real. Be calm to quench the fear that lurks, and love so you can feel. My dreams do not make sense to you, but my nightmares are real to me. Scenarios on what to say and do, yet ever a mystery. Friends and foes and in between, tricksters and pure chance. Magic, crying, trying, flying, and on your break, you dance. Randomness for excitement's sake. Throw in a golden cup. Make a decision, give or take. Then suddenly you wake up. So, important note. I did not write this at the age of 7. There was a gap in between my interconnecting dreams from 7 to 15. So the dream I'm going to relate to you is from when I was 15. This whole journal took a year to fill, so it took the whole age of when I was 16, and toward the end I was just turning 17 or something like that. I wish I could have put a date, but I didn't take writing these dreams out seriously, and that will reflect on my writing because they are not as detailed as the last dream I read to y'all. So, this is called The Fairy King and His Court. Once upon a time, I went to bed and then started dreaming about me being outside in the back, just staring at the honeysuckle. I was reflecting on the deep green and the twisting vines and spirals, and how this bundle of flora made a canopy over the ground. I looked at the dirt, which was soft and black, and dug my fingers into it. My hands felt something, and I presently pulled out an off-white journal with a gold border, like this. I should probably flip the camera, but I'm going to do that after I read this. So I, of course, opened it, and I found so many illustrations of fairies and the like, and started reading about the Fairy King, and how he was not married yet, but he was engaged to a French princess or something, and how beautiful her ladies in waiting were, and how the king hired these beautiful dancers and wise magicians, and generally just got other fairies and people to tag along as part of his retinue. And I was reading, and my eyes shifted along to the illustrations, and I was so absorbed. The dancers just started dancing with their leader in the middle, and the princess sitting on a cushion in a green poofy dress, and the jester rattling something in a gold outfit. And that's when I noticed that there was a pair of feet beside me. And I, of course, was sitting on the concrete ground, and I immediately looked up to see a pair of really, really gray eyes on a really, really pale face. This man was rather tall, and he had straight jet black hair and antler feather crown with grass draped on it. He had rather pinched features, but his eyes made you want to look in them all day. There was a silver and ethereal glow about him. I stood right up, and he looked at me straight in the eye, and he said, "You know you're a fairy, right?" I looked at him and then turned to marvel at his court. Then looked back at him and said, "I've always known." Then he said to me, "Good, I have a job for you." He told me he was going to give a tour of fairyland to this little boy, and that he needed fairy instruction, and I said that I would do it. To which he nodded kingly like and disappeared along with his court. So now I was alone in my yard, figured they'd never come back. So I turned to leave, only to hear the sound of a little boy yelling at me. I quickly turned around, and there was the boy that the Fairy King was telling me about. From there, I don't remember much other than us both sitting on the ground talking about he had been specially chosen for this trip or something. And when he heard all these things, from me, I was telling him what like Fairyland was going to be like. I took the book out again, showed him the pictures, and all of a sudden they were standing with us again. The court, or the entourage of the king. The Fairy King greeted him, calling him by name, but I don't remember his name. He thanked me for my work, and he stretched his hand and opened a portal to Fairyland in the honeysuckle. I looked in the portal, which was a dark green forest, and watched them all step in. It remained open until I woke up. The end. I will now flip the camera and show you all the pictures. That was that book that I found buried under the ground of the honeysuckle. This is a book that was actually my grandma's photo album, and I looked at it so much it just showed up as this really ethereal book buried in the backyard for no reason. This is one of the dancers that was part of the Fairy King's entourage. Well, she was a very good dancer. She was very small. I really like the colors. This is a rough sketch. So, bordering, see little people. Bordering me and my neighbor's yard is a wire fence, and along that wire fence is a very thick patch of honeysuckle, or at least it was thicker when I was little, and so I would just sit under it and excuse me. Anyway, I would just sit under it and imagine that I was in Fairyland. And so when I dreamt this dream, I dreamt that the Fairy King opened a portal in the honeysuckle. And it is a reoccurring thing in the dreams later to come because it stays open. Go to and from there, even though unwillingly at times. I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you so much.